All right, we're live. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so this is the first episode of Faith is Fitness. Thank you for joining. My name is Jeremy, and I have with me John Martinez and Josiah McGuire, and we are the co-founders of Faith is Fitness. If you're wondering what that is or what we're about, that's what this episode is all about. And so we're going to dive right into it right away. First off, let me ask you, John Martinez, where are you from? Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I am from New Braunfels, Texas, and okay. Sorry, I had a little technical thing going on there. So from New Braunfels, Texas, and born and raised, traveled around, and so I run a lot. No, not a lot, but I run.
Yeah, that's right. That was gonna be my next question. I want you to tell the folks, like, yeah, what's that mean? Like, what's your running background like?
Oh, goodness. Well, like my shirt says,
Runner's high.
it's legal in all
Runner's
50
high.
states.
Yep.
Um, no, just to be honest, I love running and ran in college, ran in high school, and had the pleasure of doing the Boston Marathon and a few other really cool marathons, Chicago, Memphis. So, yeah.
What goes into the Boston Marathon? Because I feel like a lot of people don't know. It's like you can't just like show up and run it.
No, you can't. You have to qualify, and there are different qualifying times for your age group. And I qualified during that 20 to 25 year age group, and that was the qualifying time then was a 3 hour and 5 minute time, and
Wow.
that's roughly, I think, under 7 minute pace. But honestly,
Nice.
I think they've since changed it to where it's a little quicker. But you got to qualify for it pretty much a year in advance. And it has to be a qualifying course. So the whole experience is absolutely amazing. If you're a runner, I would man, encourage you to strive for that if you're a distance runner, because there's nothing like seeing all the people support you. The whole city comes out and just, it's amazing. There are just supporters every single mile of the whole 26 miles that you're running. Helicopters flying over you, and it's such a trip. But come in shape, because I didn't. I was not in the best shape, and by mile 17 for me, my body was hurting. I finished, and I finished, but it was not pretty. So come in shape.
Sure.
Be prepared.
That's that's it. That's what we're about right now. About being in shape. More ways than one. Josiah, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where you coming from?
Sure. Uh, Hello, everyone. I am Josiah McGuire, and I am born and raised Rockford, Illinois. I spent about 7 years down in the Quad City area where I met these wonderful men of God. And, it's kind of just like love at first sight, where we kind of just bonded like instantly, as brothers do. And through shared interests, this came about. But we'll get into that later. For myself, I'm, like I said, Rockford, Illinois. I have 4 siblings. So sports and competition has been part of my life, ever since I was little. And so did sports growing up. I eventually continued on with football. So I played mainly football and did wrestling in high school. Continued on with football into college. And after college, I still felt the urge to lift with a higher intensity. And so that's when I started CrossFit just maybe like a year ago. And so, yeah, in that meantime, I had been, working out, still doing functional movement type exercises, and also running too. So in that little meantime, it was kind of like I was staying in shape, but I knew not to my best ability. And so once I started with CrossFit, I put aside some doubts that I had, maybe some negative feelings that had already built up, and joined it, loved it, and here we are now. We get to, discuss fitness, and not just that, our faith as well. So,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Finally converted him to the cult, CrossFit cult. No, for some of those people who don't know, like, they probably have different opinions about CrossFit. So we're definitely going to get into that. But for those who are anti-CrossFit, hold on.
Watch out.
Yeah, just it's all right. Like, you have to turn this off right now. We get it. Both of us, all three of us have been in the fitness world for a long time, grew up in it, athletes, and then kept going in the fitness world in various ways, and have all tried CrossFit as well. So in one way or another. So we understand, we get all the different angles people could come with it, whether they're in love with it or completely dislike it. I think we can get the spectrum.
True.
But so he mentioned how we all know each other. We're definitely going to get into that, because that definitely feeds into the genesis of Faith is Fitness. But yeah, starting off with me, so we got John, great runner, collegiate runner, and ran some pretty sweet runs like the Boston Marathon, and then Josiah, collegiate athlete as well. And then we got me. I didn't even do intramurals in college, so.
That's where all the fun was at, man.
I know, right? My college, though, was like an arts college. We did not have sports. We didn't even have like a mascot or colors, really. For me, like, my background, like I grew up in the Chicago area, both sides of the family from Chicago area. For those who actually are from Chicago, it's obnoxious when people just say Chicago area, because it could mean like somewhere like 2 hours away. But when you live in Hawaii now, like I do, you just say Chicago area.
Sure.
But technically, if anybody knows the area, I was born in Aurora, Illinois, which is a little bit away from Chicago, about a half hour. But and so for me, like, I was always like super into sports, like, and had a lot of competitive people around me, like competitive family members, and had a couple close cousins that were like brothers, and so we were always going at it, to the point where you're coming home, you look like you just got in a fight or something like that, and the parents are like, what happened? Like, we were playing basketball, it's like, what? So I had to win, Mom. This is important. Game to 15, can't play around. 17 games to 15. But yeah, and then actually, like, for me, I think a big part that feeds into like where like I'm coming from with like my fitness is I had a really bad injury when I was like torn ligaments in my ankle, like had me in a walker at like age 13 for like a summer, and depression and anxiety just like grew exponentially during that time, something I'd already struggled with, and just went through a season of being like super overweight, and just got worse and worse and worse, and then made a comeback from there, and so I really get like what it's like to like struggle with like health and fitness, and that's just in some ways as far as struggle with health. I've had other struggles too, but definitely struggle with mental health, and I really came to find that true fitness is holistic. It's physical, it's mental, it's emotional, and it's spiritual. And if all these things aren't aligned, then you aren't truly fit. You're not truly fit. You might be able to say run a 5K in 12 minutes. I don't know, I think the record is like 12 something, right? You might be able to do that, but if you're not mentally and emotionally and spiritually right, then I would say that you're not truly fit for life, And so when we're talking about faith is fitness, we are talking about holistic fitness from a faith perspective. And so our faith perspective, all three of us were Christians, and we met really because of that. Like, Christ really brought us together,
right?
And that's how this is started. And we'll get a little bit more into how we got together, because there's a lot of different aspects of that, and it's a really cool story. But just to explain for a second, like, what faith is fitness is, to really nail it down in a simplistic way. Faith, really dialing on like what faith is fitness is, and like what we mean by that is that we are talking about holistic fitness, And I think sometimes we hear that word like holistic health, holistic fitness, but they're missing really the key ingredient, which is actually an utter statement, which is Christ. And you can't truly be fit for life without Christ being at the center of it and of your life. And so that's the spiritual element. And so that's something like all three of us, like we know personally, and I can speak to it not just as an idea, but actually my personal experience is that I struggled in all areas, mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual, until I gave my adult life over to Jesus. As an adult, I made a choice, not just like as a kid, which I did, but as an adult, I made a choice when I was 24 years old after a radical encounter with Jesus and experiencing him and tasting and seeing, as the word says, not just reading, but knowing personally. That's when things change. And from there, like things like binge eating patterns fell away, and insecurities, like insecurities that drove a lot of like my fitness, my physical fitness, like say eating like extremely strict and working out extremely strict, was driven more by like vanity and insecurity of like feeling insecure after being overweight, that I never want to go back to that, and still having that person in the back of my head, to actually now I have had like pretty much 10 years straight of a very even pattern of health and healthy choices holistically out of my relationship with God. And see, what relationship with God does is it creates a desire to be a good steward of what God has given you. Because really the relationship with God is a relationship of giving. God gives us first and foremost salvation, right, through Christ for those who believe in him, as it says in John 3:16, that God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whoever believes in him will have eternal life. And so first and foremost, like we're given that. And then we find that actually relationship with God continually, and I know these guys will attest to it, it's a continual giving. It's a love that pours out into us every single day. And so that pouring from God creates an outpouring in our life, right? And holistically, not just for us, but for others, but first and foremost for us. And so it gives us discipline. It gives us the ability to know how to walk in a manner worthy of what we've been given. And it gives us a desire to be good stewards of many things, which includes our physical fitness as well. And so, like, for instance, practically that looks like I make much more better choices with my diet because of my relationship with God and how he leads and guides me to be a good steward of what I'm putting into my body, realizing that it's a temple for the indwelling of his Holy Spirit, right? So that's like that reverence for the Spirit of God living inside of me legitimately makes me think twice about what I do with my body, you know? And all of that. And so there's so much more to go into it, but that's what we're really talking about with Faith is Fitness. And that's what you guys can expect from this podcast, is to like learn more about Christ and relationship with Christ, and that invitation, and how it also produces a holistic fitness in your life. And to be clear, I'm not saying that I'm saying faith can produce this, but it's a process for everybody. Sometimes someone has great faith, but maybe physically still struggles for whatever different reasons, right? To be fit, right? And when I say fit, I know it's like a big word, but like to have like a healthy body, right? So there's different reasons why someone might still struggle with that, despite the fact that they have great faith. But so I want to make it clear, this is not an indictment on someone. It's like, well, I have faith and I'm not necessarily like physically fit. Like, I understand, like that's a process for everybody, but I'm talking about what faith can produce. And so we're talking about that for some who want to be healthy, but also some of you, I'm wondering, and this is something I'm gonna throw to Josiah, is that like some of us like are motivated that we want to get the most out of our lives, right? We want to step into the more. We don't want to like say just like get like an even kill healthiness, like just good enough. No, we want excellence, you know, and we want to produce that excellence in our life. And I thought of you, Josiah, because you've kind of talked about that. That's been like a big thing for you. Like, I was wondering if you could share a little bit about like what we were just talking about the other day, about how like sometimes like in the past, it was kind of like you were kind of doing just good enough, but now that's switched, and like, why is that? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, so I would say, you know, as far as, and I guess that kind of like leads to what you were talking about to begin with, Jeremy, which was, what is faith is fitness really? And so honestly, tying that in, it's just, I always had this sense that, I could do more in a day and I could do more with the time I was given, and that I wasn't necessarily, accomplishing all that I could in a day, in a week, in a year, whatever. Um, and so that's almost like a little double-edged sword. There's pros and cons to that mentality, but that's just, who I am, and I guess the mindset I had growing up. So I always kind of felt like you know, I didn't give it all that I had. And whether that be, school or sports or even relationships. So now is a turning point in the sense of, just like us three are on this journey to continually grow, continually get better, to continually, learn from God, not just his word, but his living, breathing word and our relationship with him, that we want to do this with you all as well. And we invite, whoever feels this same way, that, hey, I can be doing more. I want to just improve, not just my exercise, my nutrition level, but most importantly, I want to improve my relationship with God, in the sense of, I want to know God and I want to seek God with all my heart. And we know that God is there for everyone. That's one of Jesus's commands, is to knock and the door will be open to you. That's a promise from Jesus. He is right there. When we go searching and we go seeking, that he is right there. So, and from that, can spring the rivers of living water, right? The well of life. So I kind of just see faith as fitness in that sense, in that realm as well, which is, this is almost like another avenue, not just for myself, but, Jeremy and John, our ministries, to really show people another side of us, which includes the fitness realm, but also getting deep with our relationship with Jesus, and how can we all improve and work on this together. So that's what I would say about faith as fitness. What do you think, John? You kind of see that?
Yeah, man. I think what's amazing is how God has brought us together, just from the get-go, all in one small living room. We all met each other, and just instantly we were like, hey, are you that one dude? And it's like, oh, we're going to be good friends. I already know.
Yeah.
And seeing that we all had common interest, and that was to grow in the Lord. This was at a small Bible study we were all at, and that's kind of how we met, was over faith. And lo and behold, through our relationship, we come to find out that, man, we all love sports and just some other common grounds. And I think what's amazing about Faith is Fitness is we are inviting anyone and everyone who just has a desire to know God more. Because that's what life is all about, is knowing God more and making him known.
That's right.
One of those foundational elements is obviously knowing his love and sharing his love too. But what's really cool is it's limit. I think faith is limitless, but also your physical fitness is limitless as well. There's always another record that's being broken. There's always a way that you can push and strive to be better. And like you, Josiah, like, I have that conviction that I can do more. I can be better. And what better way to do that with the community of like-minded people who aren't going to just let you be, who are going to pull you up and encourage you to be better because they know what you're capable of. And I think that's the way God is for us too. He's always encouraging us to seek him, to grow more, to get us out of our comfort zones, And if you're if you're if you're like a son like me, you know, and a daughter, you know God's like, hey, he just nudges you and yeah, just gently pushes you to be better. So it's cool. It's really cool. Yeah, that's what I got, man.
Yeah, that's so good. I really love what both you guys are saying. And dude, the first time I met you guys was at that Bible study, but then it was so crazy. Well, yeah, maybe at church too for Josiah, but no, I think it was a Bible study. And it was funny. Like, I don't feel like I was like when I first saw you guys, I wasn't like, oh yeah, this is a dude I want to go talk to. As messed up as that is, I don't know what kind of mentality I was in at that, because I'm normally like more of a like, for instance, a totally non-judgmental person. I look to just be like, oh yeah, no, like I don't know who you are, you know what I mean? Can't judge a book by their cover. But for some reason, I had like this weird thing with like John. Like I thought, dude, he was so young. I thought John was like first off, he showed up to the Bible study that I was at, like the time that I came. You showed up like super late because I think you were working or something.
Yeah.
But to me, it's like, oh, who's this dude who shows up late? And then like and there's so many people. You're like in the kitchen, basically, like on the floor, like sitting down and like in this giant circle of probably like almost 25 people. It's like, this isn't even a Bible study. What, this is too many people. And because it just kept growing. It's like one of those things where we had to like break it off because it was just such a thriving Bible study at the time. It was just awesome stuff God was doing. But yeah, dude, John, I remember, bro, you were like, can we just, I just feel like the guy put a word like on my heart. Can I read this piece of scripture? And I'm like, bro, if you have like an opinion, just throw in your opinion. Like, don't like read the word to like make your, that's remember what I was thinking. And then, dude, but actually that's come to be one of my favorite things about you, John, is that like you keep us rooted in the word. I think that you're not afraid to be that person if that's needed. That like sometimes Bible studies, even at a Bible study, everybody just gets so wrapped up in their opinions and their thoughts that it's like, where did the word go? It's like we haven't mentioned the word for like a half hour at a Bible study, you know? And so then John just like straight reads the word and it's like, yeah, let's just think about that, you know? And at first I was like, who is this kid? He's probably like 20 years old. And I'm like, the group is probably averaging something more like 25 to 35, probably, you know, something like that age. So, and then I thought John was like a 19, 20-year-old, like, you know, like on the younger side for that group, you know? So that was like my first thought of John. And Josiah, I thought, dude, this dude, he kind of looked like just this like football, like beefcake dude, not gonna lie. He came and he like comes up and he's like, oh, hey, what's up, man? And I remember like I was thinking in my head, okay, this guy's gonna come up to me and he's gonna ask me like a couple questions and then that's it, and he'll probably like never really talk to me again after that. I remember thinking that. I'm like, why am I thinking these things in retrospect? I was like, what was wrong with me? Thank goodness you guys were like on a more Christian level at the time. And as far as that night, and like you came up and you just, dude, I remember you asked me like 5 questions in a row before I said a single thing. He was like, hey, what's up, man? You look like you do sports. You do any sports like that? And you got a girlfriend. It's just your first time coming to the thing. And I'm like, which question do you want me to answer, bro? I was like, yes, no. But then like we ended up just talking the rest of the time. And then it's literally been the opposite. Every single time we've ever seen each other, we talk like a lot. Like, so it's literally the opposite of what I thought. Like, I don't think there's been a time where we've been in the same room where we haven't ended up having like a long conversation and a good conversation, regardless of our moods or dispositions or what had happened, circumstances, you know? So yeah, that was my impression of you guys at first. And yeah, I don't know if you guys want to add anything to that.
Bro, I just gotta say, man, I won't forget the first time I met Josiah, because like I think we were just done with Bible study, and everyone's just talking, and he just comes from the kitchen. He's like, "Hey, so you're John?" I'm like, "Whoa, bro!" Like what? Like what? Like what? Like bro! I don't. What's your name? Like who are you? And like you,
I've been looking
Jeremy,
for
Josiah
you.
just starts asking the questions. It's just like, I heard a lot about you. I'm like, well, hey man, what's up, dude? And we just start chopping it up, man, and just so good from then on. So good.
Yeah.
Jeremy, I knew you were the quiet one, man. I just saw that you were the observer and just you're that guy. You were that guy. Like, dang, that guy knows something, that he knows something about something. But I don't know if I want to ask him right now.
And
That's about right.
yeah, I was gonna say Jeremy's like Pandora's box. It's like once you open it, it's just like everything comes out.
It's just getting worse. Yeah.
Oh shit.
No, but what's funny is that, yeah, Jeremy, what how you kind of approach John is the same way how I approached John. Like at first, where my roommate at the time, Caleb, who we're all really good friends with, and he just had his wedding. To be honest, he had been talking to me about this John guy and how you guys had gone praying and how you're just like so like free yet determined and led by God in that sense of like praying with strangers and stuff. And so I was like, man, who is this guy? Who is this guy? And then I finally meet you at the Bible study. And so I had to just get right down to the nitty gritty. But yeah, you showed up, yeah, after work, late, and then you're in the back, and then you're all of a sudden like, because it's a big deal, I think, in my opinion, to speak in that kind of setting. Like, it's not lightly, right? And so John comes in and is like, man, I got something from the Lord. And I'm like, oh, all right, here we go already. But it was, it was a blessing. And John, and that's what I appreciated from John right off the bat, is that when God is speaking to John about something, that he does not shy away from sharing it, no matter how difficult it might be. He speaks, when God shares with him, and he speaks when he's supposed to, as led by the Holy Spirit. And so that was kind of my first, impression of John. And you, Jeremy, I just keep going back to that race we had. So I said that I'm competitive, and Jeremy, we had been hanging out a few times, and I think I was over at Jeremy's place, and so we went on a run together.
In January in the Midwest.
Yeah, it's cold.
Oh,
but
no.
And it was maybe like 3 or 4 miles, but really up some steep hills and stuff like that. And I wasn't in my best running shape. And so it's coming down to the point of like, I know Jeremy's house is up ahead, let's just say like 4 or 5 blocks away. And all of a sudden, I can't remember who said it, like, if we should race home. I did? Of course
Yeah,
I did.
You definitely did.
I
remember when you said it too. I was like, I don't know. Like at the end of the run, like, hey, you want to just sprint? And I was like, I don't know.
Let's just sprint home. And so anyways, I guess I said it. That makes sense. So I wanted to see where he was at. So we take off, and we are running. And I'm like, this is at the end of a run. It's cold. Your lungs are just killing you. And we're running. And all I remember is that kind of at the peak of that pain threshold, we're probably like 3.5 blocks away. I just look over to Jeremy, and he's just got his head tilted backwards a little bit, but he's got this huge smile on his face, and he looks like he's just free. And I feel like that was like a time where I like saw Jeremy, and then I saw the destination, and then I saw Jeremy's back because he had beat me in that race. But it was such a, a special moment, and I think something very telling of who Jeremy is and how God made Jeremy to be. Just where when he excuse me, when he reaches that level of freedom, like you can just see it, it's palpable. And so even though I was very upset that I lost the race, I was happy I got to see a glimpse of that.
Yeah, it is funny that you bring that up, because like I would not remember it if it wasn't for the fact that you brought it up many times. And
Yeah.
It must be like the first time where you felt like you actually lost to me in something. That's probably why, like,
Yeah.
and it's like,
right. I'm like, I'm gonna get him back.
You didn't know that like I could pull some stuff out, but but like you said, totally because of the Lord, and like he gets that glory. And that's like that is like a good description of like my athletic life, and like my physical life is like really like it's an extension, an expression of the glory of the Lord in my life, and which is a
Amen.
gift, not something that we can boast in. And yeah, it's like, for instance, I'm wearing like this Mayhem athlete thing, and it just made me think of like their big thing is Galatians 6:14, which paraphrasing is like, far be it from me to boast in anything other than Christ crucified, and it goes on with that message. And that is like, I think something I absolutely love and like believe in, and like I think that actually I would say almost ironically is what produces like the greatest things you'll ever achieve in this world will come out of your submission to God in one way or another, whether you're completely aware of it or not. But the more aware you can be, the more direct it can be, the better for you and for everyone else. But yeah, I just, it says like so many scriptures, for instance, like God like is like hates pride, like he opposes the proud, but those who humble themselves will be exalted.
Yes.
And so I think some of my greatest moments athletically, for instance, have come from like the letting go of ego, where like ego and you trying to get your own glory in exhibition, like that desire to be like, look at me, what I did, you know what I mean, to people.
Yeah.
When that sort of falls away and something much more pure rises up, something that like I almost would say, I don't know, because I love, like there's this thing, I've always had this thing with running and with cheetahs. And so I picture like a cheetah where it's like just running at full speed, and honestly, in most cases it would be because of a hunt, right? But it's still like just that, like, this isn't about like, hey, look how fast I can run, but like, I'm going to run, and that is going to be faster than out of pride. Okay. Yeah. Poof. Let's get into like just talking about like what's up and coming and what people can expect from this episode. Anything you guys are excited about that we've talked about that it's coming up?
Well, if I may speak first, John, I am actually excited. I know I didn't mention this before, but I'm excited to speak on our current strategies as far as where we are at in our fitness levels, what we're doing in our own programming, and also some events that we have coming up. So Jeremy, you got a competition. John, you have a running competition coming?
Not right now, no,
Okay.
but I will be signing up for some.
Perfect.
Someday.
So someday, right? And that's
and
that's a promise for you guys, so you can hold him and us accountable.
Yeah.
So, but even practical things for me, like such as trying out the 75 hard challenge. I just did my first competition a couple months ago. So different things like that, where it's not just us, always informing you guys, but also including you in on our journeys. And I think that's going to be special for all of us.
Yeah, totally agree. We're going to be, collaboration's a big thing for us, so we're going to be interviewing lots of different people. Like, guests are just going to be very regular. For the ladies watching this, yes, we do plan to have a lot of different women. We have, like, I think about at least half a dozen are already pretty much, like, gonna for sure come on this video podcast, and we'll continue that going. We're inviting the female perspective, both for men and women, to engage and learn from. And so we're excited about some of those different things, and some of the things that maybe are more like something a woman is more focused on in fitness. We're going to make sure to bring those things up as well. So we're excited about those different topics. The very next episode, which should be released the same time this one is released, so it should already be here if you want to jump right into the next episode. I know that some people like to just go from one to the next, and that will be on just like getting started in the gym. That's something I talk with a lot of people a lot about and try to help people with is, sometimes it can be daunting coming back to the gym, or it can be tough going into the gym to start out,
Yes.
and both for men and women and at different ages and different fitness levels. And
Right.
so we're going to talk just about that, like just the different things of like some kind of like tips and tricks on like how to get started, and give like, some people a little bit of an outline if they can benefit from that, and just stuff to make that process easier for you. Go a little bit over things like gym etiquette, stuff like that. Just the things you would need to know, nothing intense. But we're going to go over a lot of different things like products, equipment, supplements, different things that you need. We're going to talk about different training disciplines and modalities, such as like CrossFit, powerlifting, regular weightlifting, Olympic lifting, running, biking, swimming, triathlon, so on and so forth. We're going to talk about a lot of different things, pros and cons, and that's just like ongoing to all these subjects. Like, we're not going to try to cover it all in one podcast. We're going to just be talking about all things faith and fitness every episode, and we're going to have a lot of different people. John, anything come to mind for you, something you're excited about that's coming up for this?
Yeah, I honestly, I think I'm just really excited to see the growth that happens from the community that we're trying to just implement. It's all about community, so it's a really cool element, just because, I mean, we're all three in different states. You're on an island. Shout out to them island boys. No, but it's just really cool that it's anyone from everywhere that's just wanting to grow in faith and fitness. So I'm really excited about building that and hearing what's going on in each other's lives, and from people just starting in the gym, from people who have been faithful since they were 6 or 5. So yeah,
hopefully they weren't going too hard when they were 5 or 6 years old, but in the gym. But they might be about 5 foot if they were, but that's all right. No, just kidding. But no,
I remember seeing a few Spartan boys though with like 8-packs. They're like 5 or 6 years old. If you guys remember those dudes, the little guys.
Yeah, dude, totally.
I was one of them. Yeah.
Yeah, Josiah was one of those kids that just forgot to mention that earlier. But yeah, no, and also going back to collaboration though too. Like, if you are, whether you're owner of a company with products, or you do diet programs, you do training programs, or you have also some sort of faith is fitness type thing going on, we are open to collaboration. Kingdom mindset is, like John was saying, community, and about how we make each other better. That's the kind of healthy type of competitive mentality, not like everybody just trying to get their own slice of the pie, but instead we all figure out how do we all actually make each other better. And so we are open to collaboration. Please reach out to us. We are open to reviewing different products. We're already going to be talking about stuff. If you want to send stuff to us, come talk to us, things like that in general, please come talk to us. We are interested in things like that, and sponsorships and things like that. So we're hoping that this is the beginning of something really growing in Faith is Fitness. Eventually we will probably be releasing shirts and different stuff like that. We've been talking a lot about this. This is an initiative. This is a video podcast. This is a company. This is really a mentality that we are trying to bring in as well into the fitness community. We hadn't talked a lot about we talked about what it is, but not necessarily like why we feel it's a need. And so I'll just kind of end on that I think it is a need because there is a lot of toxic mentality in the health and fitness world. And there's a lot of misinformation as well. And then there's just the chaos of information that can create like confusion, and you don't know where to turn to. So we're hoping that this becomes a resource for people where they can feel safe, that they're getting good information, that they can come in with questions. And again, because it's community, in a healthy, positive community, it doesn't matter what your questions are, where you're coming from. You don't have to feel like it's a bad question or a dumb question or something like that. And so It's a safe place for you to learn and grow in your health, no matter where you're at, no matter what your goals are, whether you want to be the next CrossFit Games champion or the next amazing person in your sport, training modality, whatever it is, or you're someone who's just like, yeah, I'm not even super interested, but just kind of vaguely interested in getting a little bit healthier. Wherever you are from those two spectrums, or in between, most likely most of us fall in between, we welcome you. And we want this, again, to be a place where it instead of like feeding into, like, we're not going to be like guys like take our shirt off and be like, let me show you how you should get abs. That's like, to me, an example of like a toxic mentality about fitness. Fitness is so much more about your health and your wellness holistically than it is about just trying to get like some aesthetic physique goal accomplished, but not necessarily coming at it so much as just saying that we're hoping people will be more open to a much bigger understanding of how to like unleash your potential. And we really believe that you have great potential. And so we hope that this podcast helps you to unleash that and help others to do that as well. I think too, my last thing I'll say is that I believe I've heard a lot of people talk about like trying to be a better version of themselves or the best version of themselves. And that sounds right and seems good. But I have something I want to challenge you with that I think is even better. And I think that God has a very specific you that he created you to be. And so really stepping into your faith as fitness is an invitation to step into who God made you to be. And that is better than even just the best version of yourself. It's not a version of you, it's you becoming who he made you to be. And we're all in this life on this journey of always becoming. As I remember, that's something John had said before to me that really resonated with me and like what I believe and what God has shown me as well. Right, John?
For sure, bro.
Yeah. So I think that's pretty much it for me, is like what we want to say this time around. We hope that you guys enjoyed this podcast. This one was a unique one, where we wanted to just like, give you guys a little intro to us, explain faith is fitness. We're not going to keep doing that every single episode. Be like, this is what faith is fitness. No. We're just going to like start diving in and just talking about different things every episode. Feel free to put in the comments what you guys would like for us to talk about. And keep an eye out for some different community type opportunities that we're going to give people to join in so that they can have a more ongoing questioning and answering type thing. But we are definitely going to be looking at the comments, be active in that, and try to answer and help with anything we can. And you can literally influence what our episodes might be about. If there's something like influx of like what people are wanting to hear about, we're definitely going to talk about that. If people have, for instance, like start asking a bunch of CrossFit stuff, we're going to make more episodes about CrossFit, which is what John and Josiah and I train in.
Like best CrossFit shoes.
Yeah. Yeah. So what are those good shoes? It's the thing, man, dude, side note, thing about CrossFit shoes, it's like stinks is that they like sometimes like a great one will come out and then they'll just be done, after a while. And it's like you can't get them anymore, aka the Rich Froning X1s, freaking amazing CrossFit shoes. You got to pay like $500 now to get it. It's like, forget that. It's like it's just done, so not getting in. I'm size 13. It's already hard to find shoes anyway, so should have bought like 4 of them when I first got them. But yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much it. John's the man to go to for running shoes. He's helped me out. But yeah, I don't know. Anything else, guys, you want to end with? You want to tell the people before we just close off? We don't have like a cool close off thing, so we're just gonna. Anything?
Yeah. So
my camera stopped, so
okay.
So there you
y'all
go.
keep rolling. Y'all keep rolling.
Did you have something you wanted to say, Josiah? I felt like it was
No, it's okay. We're good.
good. All right.
Say it, bro. Like, type in the comments how long you think I've had my abs.
I'm good.
Dude, what? Okay, boom.
All right.